Hello, my Dello Feligates. We have a weird piece of news I'm bringing to you today. More movie news. This is a strange one. We've got a Variety article here titled New Lord of the Rings Movie from Stephen Colbert and His Son in Development at Warner Brothers. That's quite a headline. So this is the Tolkien Reading Day is the occasion for this being announced, apparently. And this is yet another Lord of the Rings spin-off, which we've been getting quite a bit of announced. Of course, we have the Lord of the Rings Amazon show, Rings of Power. And then Warner Brothers has been getting in on the spin-off fun with The Hunt for Gollum by Andy Serkis, which is slated for release next year with some of the returning cast. And I guess set in the Lord of the Rings film universe. I'll be honest, Andy Serkis' directorial career has certainly not been as strong as his acting career, so confidence in that title in particular is low for me, but I suppose there's still potential. This is another new one, and it's we also have, almost forgot the animated film, the anime film War of the Rohirrim, which is a pretty solid anime prequel film set in the Lord of the Rings universe. Nothing super mind-blowing, but it's a fun time. Would recommend checking that out if you haven't seen it and like Lord of the Rings and are open to this spin-off content. Let's go through the article and get into some specifics. Warner Brothers has revealed that Stephen Colbert and his son are developing a brand new Lord of the Rings movie. The announcement came Thursday night via the studio's various social media accounts. The video announcement opened with Lord of the Rings director Peter Jackson giving a quick update about the next film in the fantasy franchise Andy Serkis' The Hunt for Gollum. Jackson said of the project, which is set for release in 2027, Andy is doing a terrific job. It looks amazing. The script is coming together really well, and I think it's going to be a really great film. A really good film, I should say. Jackson then teased his very special partner, who will help develop the next film after The Hunt for Gollum, titled The Lord of the Rings Shadows of the Past. That partner is none other than the Late Show host Colbert, who Jackson patched in through a video call. Colbert, a vocal Tolkien fanatic, then explained that the plot of the movie will come from the chapters The Fellowship of the Ring that didn't make it into Jackson's 2001 adaptation. Let's just read his quote here. You know that what the books mean to me and what your films mean to me, Colbert told Jackson. But the thing I found myself reading over and over again were these 6 chapters early on in The Fellowship of the Ring that y'all never developed into the first movie back in the day. It's basically the chapter 3 as Company, chapter 3, through Fog of the Barrow Downs, chapter, 7, 8? Roman numerals or challenge. And I thought, oh wait, maybe that could be its own story that could fit into the larger story. Could we make something that was completely faithful to the books while also being completely faithful to the movies that you guys already made? That's kind of a crazy quote. We'll get into that. The late night host said that after coming up with this idea, he discussed it with his son, screenwriter Peter McGee, and worked out a framing device for the film. After the groundwork was laid, Colbert called Jackson, and over the last 2 years, they worked with screenwriter Philippa Boyens to develop a script. She was, of course, involved in the Lord of the Rings films. The film's official logline reads, 14 years after the passing of Frodo... What? Okay. I hadn't read this yet. Sam, Merry, and Pippin set out to retrace the first steps of their adventure. Bro, this is pretty wild. Meanwhile, Sam's daughter, Eleanor, has discovered a long-buried secret and is determined to uncover why the War of the Ring was nearly lost before it even began. Holy God, that is a crazy logline. I didn't realize we were doing sequel kind of content here. Like, I guess it's like a soft sequel to the Lord of the Rings trilogy, as opposed to a prequel, which really... I don't think we've really gotten a big budget film or TV or anything like that version of that before. That is, non-canon. I mean, obviously it's all non-canon to the books because it's its own thing. But yeah, this is really unprecedented. This new Lord of the Rings project marks Colbert's first foray into blockbuster development. Yes, it does. However, it is not his first collaboration with Jackson. Colbert had a small role in 2013's The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug. He also directed Jackson, as well as the Lord of the Rings stars Ian McKellen, Viggo Mortensen, and Elijah Wood in the 2019 short film Darley Gorn, which is set in J.R.R. Tolkien's Middle-earth. I'm not familiar with that, but that's funny. New Zealand-based screenwriter Boyens has a long history working with Jackson. She helped pen his Lord of the Rings trilogy and the F-Hobbit, I guess there's a typo there, along with Fran Walsh. She also co-wrote Jackson's 2005 monster epic, King Kong. McGee has worked in production on several movies and TV shows. Uh-oh, here we go. Here's the kicker. Oh, no. Including 2019's Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. Netflix's Outer Banks, HBO's The Righteous Gemstones, and CBS's Blue Bloods. He's also the lead singer of the Brooklyn-based rock band Evil Twin. Tolkien penned. I don't think we need to read this. This is just recapping what has already been happened. Okay, this is a pretty wild piece of news. First of all, Stephen Colbert. Gotta respect the guy. He's getting a pretty raw deal. Getting kicked off his talk show for reasons that are not his fault, of course. That's unfortunate. Thank you, Donnie and Brendan, for that. So I guess he's got a little retirement project to work on after the show ends, which I think is May, is when the Late Show with Stephen Colbert is ending. I am pretty open to Lord of the Rings spin-offs, prequels, whatever. I kind of don't care that much. I'm not too precious about this kind of thing. I'm open to watching stuff like The Rings of Power, going into it with an open mind. And, you know, I think it's fine if other people get more up in arms about this stuff and more outraged or whatever. You're obviously free to do that. But for myself, I do just tend to be open to this stuff. I really like the Hobbit movies, for example. Some Lord of the Rings purists and, you know, otherwise people obviously are free to dislike those films and the TV shows and whatever. I tend to be just happy with this supplemental Lord of the Rings content, knowing that it's obviously not going to replicate the same heights that you get reading the book or watching the original Peter Jackson films, which are widely viewed, and I agree with, as the definitive adaptions of those books, and it's would be pretty much impossible to do it really that much better than was done back in the 2000s by Peter Jackson. So let's go over the good. The good, I think Colbert really does care about Tolkien. That really can't be argued. He's quite an expert. He's like, as has been evidenced on his show and then his previous show, The Colbert Report. So I really respect that. He's really genuinely just a huge fan of it. This probably really just is a dream project for him to work on. That's a good place to come at a project like this from. And so that's the good thing. Good to have, you know, Peter Jackson on as producer, whatever. And, you know, some of the screenwriters from the original film. The concerning aspects are, to me, I guess, Stephen Colbert's son, who I wasn't aware was a screenwriter before this. But yeah, you know, Rise of Skywalker is not known for its strong script. I don't know if he was directly involved in the script specifically. But, you know, that's not... I've just not really seen anything else that is listed in this article. But let's look at this. Oh, okay, so this is interesting. On IMDb, he's not really credited on working on this other stuff. So it's possible he had very limited roles in these other productions that are listed. I don't know. I'm not going to worry about that. Can't really say much about this, about Colbert's son, really one way or the other, whether or not that's really a cause for concern. What is a cause for concern is this log line. I think anything that ventures into what happens after Lord of the Rings is a little weird. It's a little wishy-washy kind of zone that very few have dare to enter in any capacity. I believe Tolkien himself did have some sort of outlines for what might happen in some sort of Lord of the Rings sequel, but never really went through with it because the end didn't work as is, something along those lines. So getting into that zone where we have basically the leftover Hobbit characters, Sam, Merry, and Pippin. I guess this is before Sam goes and leaves Middle-earth, because that is a canonical event. So this is kind of, I guess it's kind of not a full sequel in that sense, because it is taking place in that zone. But I believe in the movie ended before Samwise left to Middle-earth. So we got our 3 hobbits minus Frodo, who will probably appear in flashback. Let's be real. And then we've got Sam's daughter, who I don't know if that's a named character that has appeared before. I don't remember. We're also getting potentially some Tom Bombadil kind of stuff happening here, as well as stuff with the Barrow Downs, Barrow Wights. This was a section notably absent from the Peter Jackson movies for a variety of reasons. Most notably, probably that it would have made the movie a lot longer. So this is a strange thing. Hard to know what to make of it. Shout out to Stephen Colbert for probably getting his dream project. That's good for him. Whether or not it turns out to be something that's going to be truly exceptional remains to be seen. But it's definitely an interesting and fairly bizarre project. I guess we'll get to see what Tom Bombadil looks like in the Peter Jackson film universe. They did get beat to the punch on having a live-action Tom Bombadil by the Rings of Power TV show, which had Tom Bombadil show up in the Rune Desert in season 2, portrayed by Rory Kinnear. I believe that's how you pronounce that name. He's a great actor, and he did a great job as Tom Bombadil. I think this will likely be entirely separate from that universe's depiction, because the Prime TV show and the Lord of the Rings movies kind of, for legal reasons, exist in their own sort of universe and have not really cross-pollinated in any real way. Another thing to consider is the big Warner Brothers merger, where we got Paramount Skydance trying to buy Warner Brothers, which is still in the legal process. The wheels are turning on that. So it hasn't happened yet, and I guess technically it could get blocked. Something to consider is, of course, Colbert and Paramount are not on great terms. So if they buy Warner Brothers, or how happy are they going to be with this project, given their, what they did with the Late Show. That's something to consider, a fun thing. Yeah, what a weird announcement. The log line is not selling me thus far, but I suppose there is potential. At least there does seem to be a vision behind the project. I don't know if it'll be a great vision, but that's a good starting point, that at least someone really does want to make this. At least it seems to be that. I just really felt a need to put this in video format because it's really goddamn weird, and I had things to discuss about it. All right, I'll see you later.